Hey boys and girls, we're going to continue reading Spacemice, and are you ready to fight the slurp monster? A Rude Awakening is the title of this chapter. We stepped out of the shuttle in front of a large cave. That is where the slurp monster sleeps, King Spheris explained. My whiskers were trembling with fright as we stepped inside the dark cave. There, snoring away, was the giant slurp monster. He was even more terrifying in person. The guards approached him and began to shake him to wake him up, but the monster kept snoring. Use a long stick to pry his eye, the king ordered. The guards prodded the monster's eyes, but he just started snoring louder than before. Maybe we should just leave, I suggested. The king ignored me. Use the space resonator, he commanded. The cheese stick put a machine that looked like an enormous trumpet up to the monster's ears. Then, woo! The resonator let out a loud siren sound. The monster opened his eyes and let out a terrible roar. Gigantic, galactic Gonzorla. I told you the world he would be angry. I squeaked running out of the cave. The others followed me, and the monster stomped out behind us. He looked like he was in a terrible mood. The king and his guards fled, leaving me by myself. As I saw the king run away, I remembered something. Your Majesty, wait. You didn't tell me the trick to defending the monster. I yelled after him. The king stopped. Oh, right, I forgot. The legend says the monster will only be... Look at him. Help, look at him. Good luck, they say. It says the monster will only be defeated when the hero yells, "Give up, you one-eyed furball." Now, excuse me, Cheese Master, but I must be running off. I couldn't believe my ears. That was the trick? Yelling an insult? That didn't sound like such a good idea to me. The king and his guard boarded the space shuttle and flew away. Stinky space cheese! They had left me all alone. I tried to remember what the Professor Greenford had told me and the king's trick, but my mind went blank as a slice of provolone. I was so scared I couldn't think straight. I was done for, finished, hopeless. I was frozen with fear. The slurp monster grabbed me with one hand and lifted me in the air. The words the king had said popped out of into my brain. Quick, let's move, hurry, the king and them, they're all running. Give up, you one-eyed furball. But the words only made him angrier. He growled and started to squish me like a mozzarella ball. I needed another plan. I wanted to keep my fur. Look at the fur monster has him. Shaken like a Swiss cheese smoothie. That's the next chapter. Hang tight, Geronimo. We're here. Hope returned as I heard Thea's voice. She, Benjamin, Bugsy, Sally, and Robotics came running towards me. The slurp monster reached for them with his other 5 hands. They all dodged him. They jumped between 2 furry hands and yelled, "Geronimo, this is for you. You can do it." Then she threw me a colorful feather. I hesitated. The king's trick hadn't worked. What if tickling the monster made him even angrier? I gobbled my eyes. I closed my eyes, imagining the monster gobbling me down like a jalapeno popper. When I opened them, I saw that the monster had grabbed everybody. Help us, Uncle Geronimo, Benjamin pleaded. Seeing that the rodents and robot I cared about most were in danger gave me courage. I grabbed the feather and yelled, "Let go of my friends, or you'll have to deal with me." Then I began to brush the feather against the monster's head. He stopped growling. The massive belly started to shake, and he closed his mouth to keep himself from laughing. His one giant eye started to tear up. "Keep doing it, Geronimo. It's working," Thea urged. "Yes, he's in terrible trouble now," Bugsy cheered. I waved the feather even faster, and the monster started to swell up as he tried hard to hold back his laughter. Holy craters! It looked like he was about to burst. I thought I had won, but I was wrong. Tickle, tickle. Unfortunately, he managed to hold back his laughter. He shook me like Swiss cheese smoothie. My insides were starting to feel scrambled. All that shaking knocked the feather out of my paw. I watched it float slowly to the ground. No! Then the monster lifted me above his enormous mouth and opened it wide. Believe me, friends, I'd never been so afraid in my entire life. Next chapter, monstrous emotions. Stinky space cheese. I had to try something. I grabbed the monster's fingers and started shaking my paw at him. "Let me go, you big mound of fur," I yelled. The shaking activated my wrist computer. It began to project 3D images of slurp monsters that the Professor Greenford had sent me. The monster's eyes grew wide when he saw the other monsters. Then he let out a big sigh and let go of me and the others. We fell to the ground. Thump! Luckily, the surface of the planet... Here, look, there they are. See, there's the monsters he's projecting. Luckily, the surface of the planet mozzarella is soft and bouncy, so we didn't get hurt. We looked at one another, stunned. We couldn't believe we were free. For all the short circuits, why did the monster give up so suddenly? Robotics asked. I have no idea, I responded, but Benjamin and Bugsy were both smiling. They had figured it out. It's obvious, Uncle G, Benjamin said. Look at his face. That giant furball is emotional. Emotional? Is that possible? When I looked at the monster, I knew Benjamin and Bugsy were right. The monster's angry expression had completely changed. His face was sweet and sad. Of course, Sally explained. The slurp monster is all alone on this planet. Seeing the images of the other monsters is making him feel sad. That's why he let us go. I don't think he's actually evil at all. I just think he's lonely, Bugsy said. I understand what that meant. Underneath that mountain of muscles, the monster had a heart. Galactic Gouda, who would have guessed? I could have escaped then with my friends and never looked back, but the monster was so sad, and the cheese would still have a monster problem. I couldn't just leave, could I? Then an idea hit me. What if we helped this monster find friends, I suggested. If we were happier, he might stop terrorizing the cheese sticks by stomping and slurping their mozzarella bushes. See, he's sad. Benjamin and Bugsy looked at each other. We have an idea. Follow us. And so we all boarded the space shuttle and quickly returned to the Mouse Star 1. Ultra galactic power, gigantic power. When we reached the Mouse Star 1, Benjamin and Bugsy ran to look for Professor Greenfur. The rest of us followed them to the professor's lab. Welcome back. What can I do for you? He greeted us. Bugsy had to catch her breath before she could talk. We need to know if you can modify the teletransportics to transport something that is very large, she blurted out, and very far away. Benjamin added. Professor Greenford frowned. It depends on what you have in mind, he said. We think the slurp monster stomps and slurps the mozzarella bushes because he's angry that he's all alone, and he's bored, Benjamin explained. So if we could transport other slurp monsters to mozzarella, he might be happier and stop destroying the mozzarella. That's a great idea, Benjamin, I said. But Professor Greenford was still frowning. This can't be done easily, Professor Greenford explained. To dematerialize all the molecules of Slurp Monster, you would need ultra-gigantic power. Our teletransporter only has regular gigatonic power. The room went silent as we looked at one another, disappointed. Benjamin and Bugsy's plan was great, but how could we make it happen? Wait, I have an idea, Sally exclaimed suddenly. The solution might be right under our snouts. The Mouse Star 1 engine has an ultra-gigatonic power. Working together, Professor Greenford and I could temporarily transfer all the power of the spaceship to the teletransportics. Bugsy grinned. Then I would have enough energy to transport a slurp monster. Didn't I tell you Sally was brilliant? Excellent thinking, Sally, Professor Greenford cried. There's no time to lose. Let's get to work. Sally and Professor Greenford quickly began to do calculations. We need to get to the control room, Thea said. We've got to locate our slurp monsters in the universe. So Thea, Benjamin, Bugsy, Robotics, and I hurried to the control room, excited about the new plan. That's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to continue on.